Welcome back, and many thanks for staying with us on the #1 breakfast show in the country, Morning at NTV. My name is Romeo Busik. Of course, the coronavirus pandemic is still pretty much, you guessed it, rearing its very ugly head. We are talking about 194.3 million plus cases of COVID-19 that have been registered. This is how bad the situation is. 94 million and some 435,000 plus cases of COVID-19 have been registered on the whole global stage. You do have the United States taking the biggest chunk of all those cases. We're talking about 34.4 million plus cases of COVID-19 that have been registered on the whole international scene. Globally, we are talking about 194,354,000. The US is now grappling with some 34.4 million plus cases of COVID-19. You do have India at 31.4 million. You do have Brazilians grappling with 19.7 million plus cases of COVID-19. Then you do have Russia at 6.1 million plus cases of COVID-19. We also do have the French, who are grappling with 5.9 million plus cases of COVID-19. You do have the people of the United Kingdom grappling with some 5.7 million plus cases of COVID-19. That's how bad the situation is on the whole international stage. In East Africa here, yes, 92,724 cases have been registered here in Uganda. 2,579 people have succumbed as a result of this very heinous novel coronavirus disease. If you look at the Kenyans, they are grappling with 197,000 cases of COVID-19. The Rwandese, 62,000 plus cases of COVID-19 have been registered in that jurisdiction. An extension of the lockdown was also expedited in that regard to curtail the spread of the same. If you go to DRC, 48,000 plus cases have been registered, and some 37,138 cases have been registered within Sudan. If you come to Southern Sudan, 10,900 cases have been registered. If you go to another country, Ethiopia, yes, 278,000 plus cases of COVID-19 have been registered in that jurisdiction. Egypt, 283,000 plus cases of COVID-19 have been registered. In South Africa, 2.3 million plus cases of COVID-19 have been registered. That is how dire the situation is as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Over 4.1 million plus people have actually succumbed as a result of this very, very heinous novel coronavirus disease. So what can you do to protect yourself? Please wear a face mask and also ensure a social distancing in that regard. So let's go to Rashul Adidi in Koboko. He has a very, very great conversation for us before I indulge Mr. Chisembo Emmanuel with this political conversation. Let's talk to Rashul Adidi this morning. A very good morning, my brother. What's happening within Koboko? Rashul Adidi, what's happening within Koboko?
I have to say that after 42 days of the lockdown can end, in Koboko, people are very much excited. You could really see that in the streets of Koboko, every place has been filled up, and some of the businesses are zooming up normally, with the exception of places like worship places, schools, and some of the transport means like buses. But most of the businesses, when you move in town, you could really see that most people have resumed back. But the most challenging issue here is when you move to such kind of places, the business places, you can really see that people are not observing the standard operating procedures. At my background, you can see some of the people, of course, going to the market, but instead of wearing masks, instead of social distancing is not there. So far in Koboko, I have to confirm to you that, Romeo, people are very much excited as the 42 days of the lockdown comes to an end.
Yes, my good man, Rashul Adidi, thank you very much for that update coming in from Koboko. The people are actually jubilant that the COVID-19 42-day lockdown is actually coming to an end. Morning at NTV has other details in that regard. We were talking to Dr. Monica Musenero yesterday, and she actually contended that no one should be actually celebrating, because before we inoculate half of the 21.9 million targeted individuals with these vaccinations, we shall not be reopening in that regard. Thank you very much, Rashul Adidi, for that update coming in from Koboko. And the people in the jurisdiction, if you did receive some 100,000 from Ms. Nabanja, the Prime Minister, please using sparingly, because we could see an extension of this lockdown, because government is intending to cut down on this spread and also the cases that we are registering within this country. The cases are reducing, but they would also like the test positivity rate to reduce all the way to 5%. At some point it was 23%, it went to 21. At some point it stagnated at 17, then it went to 13, at 10. Now it is at 6.6% test positivity rate. That is the rate at which people get infected with COVID-19. Now, if you talk to Chris Bariomosi, ICT Minister, he will tell you that government is actually targeting for this test positivity rate to be at least 5%. And that is not going to happen this week, meaning we could be seeing an extension in that regard. Now, let's take a look at what is happening in other very pertinent conversations. I do have Emmanuel Chisembo. He's already here, and we're going to be expanding more on the fact that MPs are uniting to defend the fact that they were given this 200 million grant to purchase the cars. Now, they are uniting. Doesn't matter if you're opposition, doesn't matter if you're NRM, when it comes to money, when it comes to all these luxuries. They seem to be in conformity. When they want to raise their salaries, they'll lock themselves up and they'll discuss how best they can raise their salaries. But when it comes to stimulus packages, Emmanuel Chisembo, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
He is a political analyst with whom I would like to expand more on this conversation. So when you hear MPs are receiving 200 million each for cars in the midst of a pandemic that is raging unabated, where you do have people who are vulnerable and more falling into the vulnerable bracket in the absence of stimulus package, in the absence of very, very absolute or effective social protection tools. Yeah. What would you make of that?
Yeah, actually, my sense of view is a little bit different from,
it is skewed. All right.
From the public because MPs have been the face of the public. Actually, when you talk about over 529 MPs.
And 26 ex-officios.
Yes, you find that their constituencies, they look at them and of course they don't want them to have anything. They think whatever they get, it is them who participated in them getting that. So my view is that MPs should also be treated the same, because we have over actually three arms of government. We have the legislature, we have the executive,
and the judiciary.
We have the judiciary. But now the public always perceive it differently, that MPs get a lot of money. And they don't always look at the money going to the executive, going to the judiciary. They only look at this 200 million. But the public should actually know that MPs are entitled to get that. And even it was the previous parliament that actually passed this budget. So to me, I don't think it is a very big alarm. There are other sectors of government that are not working, like Ministry of Education. We have people are not going abroad, like the MPs and ministers. This money can be drawn from the other side and actually...
Emmanuel Chisembo, the money has already been drawn.
Yeah.
We've already cut money from the ministries, we've already cut money from the departments and the agencies. Over 2.7 trillion Uganda shillings was cut from these agencies. Uganda AIDS Commission suffered a cut. Mulago here suffered a cut, and they are grappling with COVID-19. NMS, National Medical Stores, they're going to be tasked with the storing of the vaccines. They suffered a cut. But guess what? The MPs and their very luxurious 200 million cuts, they didn't even suffer a 50 shilling cut.
No, actually...
Is that ethical, Emmanuel Chisembo?
No, after 5 years, automatically someone who is representing the people,
who are dying in their houses because of starvation.
No,
you are not representing dead bodies. You need to represent people who are actually living, Emmanuel Chisembo. You're getting 200 million to take care of a constituency whereby 80% of the people who voted for you are actually starving and dying in their houses, and you're driving a luxurious car in a dusty road. Does that make any sense, Emmanuel Chisembo?
No, what you have to know that every pandemic, we always pass supplementary budgets. And this is a government. It is a very big institution whereby they allocate. It is not that this money that has gone to the MPs, that the government doesn't have money. The government has money, and it can actually get money from other sources. They can pass a supplementary budget and have money, but it does not mean that if COVID-19 is here to stay, that MPs should be suffocated. You have seen MPs should also have a role in actual mobilization, sensitizing the people in their own constituencies. So how do they do this? They have also to move with these cars, and of course, you know, MPs, they have problems of these roads in the villages, you find that our infrastructure is not all that good. So to me, I don't think that MPs...
The biggest contestation from the members of the public is that the MPs are too entitled to this money.
Yeah,
the fact
but
that when you are, being queried as to why you're receiving this money in the midst of the pandemic, and then you say, well, the 10th Parliament received it, the 9th Parliament received it, the 8th Parliament received it,
but
and we are also supposed to receive it. But in the 10th Parliament, largely, at some point, there was no COVID. In the 9th Parliament, at some point, there was no COVID-19. But here we are, and we are saying, can you actually at least ensure that you...
No, but before you talk about the 200 million, let us also see what has gone to the judiciary. Let us also look at what has gone to the executive. Why should we only be focused on the MPs?
Because these are cars, a luxury we could not afford during the pandemic.
But I think even cars that are going to judiciary, you look at the RDCs at the district, you find that they have given a car, they are given a fuel, they are given a driver, even escorts. But these MPs are only getting 200 million to buy a car for 5 years, no fuel allowance, no driver, but the RDCs, they do all get all these things.
They have fuel mileage between 10 to 30 million Uganda shillings. Emmanuel Chisembo.
I don't think that is actually something that we should dwell on, because that is their entitlement. We should also focus on other people.
They have 1.98 million fund for their constituencies.
Yeah, they have it, but the car helps them to reach their people.
They have a net pay of 6 million Uganda shillings.
Yeah, you see, MPs, much as you pay them all this money, MPs, most of their money go to fuel, to actually help on burial ceremonies, people who have gotten
problems. Which is not happening anymore because we are limiting to 20 people.
20 people?
Yes.
So...
the barriers.
Yeah, the barriers are, it is 20 people. But again, it does not make them not to help these other people who have lost their lives. Even
what we are saying, they can do more by helping these people, by slashing the amount they're taking for the cares. At least take 50, leave the 150 and donate it to the COVID-19 task force. That's when we'll be like, okay, these MPs care about the citizenry with whom they are working to actually ensure that we propel this country to greatness.
No, in Uganda...
Cut the 50 million, put it aside, buy a small car, a Spacio, a Vitz, and then put the rest to the COVID-19 task force. That is what a good leader will do. You're not driving a very, very posh car of 200 million Uganda shillings, trying to assess the livelihoods of your constituents who are dying in their houses. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to a leader who purports to work for the people. This is about working for the people. A government.
Yeah, actually...
A government of the people, for the people, and by the people. When you look at all these factors, nothing is correlating with this line that I just gave
we
you.
Should not
a government of the people, for the people, by the people.
We should not exaggerate the
This is like a government of the MPs, by the MPs, and for the MPs.
Yeah, we should not exaggerate the 200 million. I have told you before you exaggerate the 200 million. First look at the RDCs. First look at the DSOs, the internal security officers. Look at the judiciary. Look at the executive. Before you do what? Exaggerate. So to me, we would have a very good debate when you have showed me how much money has gone to the executive, how much money has gone to the judiciary. Then there we would compare and contrast. Yeah, but when we only talk about the 200 million, when I have not yet seen the billions of shillings going to the judiciary and the executive, I think we are taking it as something...
You do have some recommendations coming in, and you do have some people who are saying maybe the fresh, new number of MPs who are just in this August House should receive these cares. But then those who have been, in the 10th Parliament, in the 9th Parliament, should donate this money.
Hoping you have actually had a car which is moving regularly for 5 years. It is no more. Me, I actually have used the cars, actually from Japan, but a car that moves. Remember that me, I come from Kagadi. If I'm to move oftenly to Kagadi, after 5 years, that car will be no more. So every person should actually get a car maybe in less than even 2.5 years.
Okay, let's look at this scenario. You're running a household, you have some 5 children, you're the head of the house, and you have a wife. You do go out every day to look for some money, but then the situation is tough. You're not making money like you used to. But then somehow you get a loan of some 10 million Uganda shillings. Would you go buy a car of 8 million Uganda shillings to help you with operations going to and fro to your workplace? Or would you rather invest that money in improving the livelihoods of your household, the people with whom you live?
Yeah, that is now the loan.
Now, what the MPs are doing...
No, you are looking now at a loan, but this is not a loan. This is their entitlement.
From the loan?
No, this is their entitlement by the government. It is not maybe out of the law. It is illegal that MPs should have what? Should have these cars. And when you look what has been happening, to me even I advocate for much more money.
You advocate for much more money being given to the MPs in
when
the
you
midst of
look
the pandemic?
at, when you look at their security, we need a situation whereby their security.
But what about the security of the vulnerable people, Emmanuel Chisembo? That's largely what we are talking about here. The security of the vulnerable people. Shouldn't the MPs understand the severity of the situation and say, we should actually forego this money and let it go to the COVID-19 task force, and this is actually our token of giving back to the people whom we serve?
But again...
we're in a lockdown. They're not going to be traveling that much.
Yes, we are in
so we can't say that they need those cars.
But Parliament has not closed. Parliament is doing business.
You say they will be traversing the different constituencies,
yes,
taking a
of
look
course,
at
they
their
have
people.
to check on them.
Indeed.
They have to check on their people. They have to know how far. And of course, they bring their views in Parliament. Then another thing, what you have to know, that these MPs, their security is at a stake.
Indeed.
You have seen what happened to Abiriga in that small Volkswagen.
Indeed,
Me, I advocate for MPs even to have armed cars because their security becomes a guarantee. It becomes a guarantee. It is not that because they are elected, after being elected, then we should use them in wherever. You have seen even small churches. I'm giving you this as an example. Actually, fundraising for their own bishops or pastors to buy them cars. Then how about an MP who has been elected by over 100,000 people? So an MP who has been elected, even when you look at the hierarchy, I think is number 17.
Indeed.
Yes.
Okay.
So
what members of the public are saying is that they concur with the fact that MPs need to be bankrolled with these cars. But then they are saying, what is the rationale of receiving a car that is worth 200 million Uganda shillings when a health worker who is battling COVID-19 has no PPEs, personal protective equipment? When you do have nurses who are dying, over 58 have died, and 15 doctors. When you do have a lot that is missing when it comes to interventions. You do have vulnerable people that are growing exponentially every day. But then money is being doled out to the MPs.
It does not mean that if COVID-19 is around or it is striking the nation, that all these other ministries or these other services should die. We should move as we used to move. We need to cope up with COVID-19, and people should know that this is their entitlement. They need to have it. Actually, maybe they would be requested. They should be requested. But in case they don't want, I don't think that they should be forced. But the government should look for other avenues to get money from wherever. They can go to IMF, they can go to these other foreign countries and borrow from there. But as far as 200 million is concerned for MPs, this is their entitlement. And I want the public to also know that it is not only the legislature, the MPs, but even the executive has gotten huge money. Even the judiciary has got huge money. So if it comes to slashing or cutting it, let also the executive cut. Let even the judiciary cut and also contribute to the same. Yeah, let us not over-exaggerate on the MPs.
So they are entitled to this money, and that's it?
Absolutely.
Where does that leave the vulnerable people in this country?
No, we actually, when you talk about the vulnerable people, even before COVID-19, actually the problem that we have, we don't understand who is a vulnerable person. Who is a vulnerable person? I was actually reading my own dictionary. They were telling me even a pregnant mother is a vulnerable.
Indeed.
A lame
That's
person is a vulnerable. But look at a pregnant mother who is a PS, is that person vulnerable? Or when you look at a lame person in parliament, is an MP in parliament, is that person vulnerable?
And that's a small number.
I think vulnerable, we need to get another word to mean vulnerable.
Largely, how would you rate government's performance when it comes to the interventions they've expedited to alleviate the challenges COVID-19 has posed for our economy?
No, government has got a lot of challenges. Because now I'm seeing them trying to push the issues of MPs, but they have not yet even actually accounted for the previous money that the public collected. So if we are to move looking at only MPs, let them first show us the accountability of the 29 billion that was gathered from the public.
Yes.
Even other relief items.
Now you're talking.
We have not yet gotten
now
anything.
You're talking, Emmanuel.
So I don't think that the issue of the MPs should be now an issue. Let them go back to the previous relief that were donated.
When it comes to accountability, I'm sure the viewer is eager to hear what your pointers are.
Yes, they need to do that.
Let's just take a short break. We'll be right back with Emmanuel Chisembo to expand more on why we should be, talking about accountability now that government is clamoring for more money or resources from members of the public. They're giving out 200 million Uganda shillings to each MP, but then they are asking members of the public who are grappling in this pandemic to actually donate. How rational? What is the rationale? We'll be right back.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
I'm growing up, I'm growing into every moment.
Thanks, Mom.
Nurture the moment with Minute Maid Delight, global #1 juice and juice drinks brand.
Daily Monitor brings you an exciting experience with the e-paper this season. Subscribe daily, monthly or quarterly and win lots of prizes like branded items, TV sets, StarTimes satellite dishes, airtime, data, power banks, children's tablets, MiFis and many more. Visit epaper.nationmedia.com/UG to subscribe and be part of the promotion. Daily Monitor. Truth every day. Terms and conditions apply.
Today's technologies are changing the world as we know it. Given the speed at which innovation and disruption are taking place, we are standing at the brink of a digital revolution, and there is no escaping it. Digitization is ingrained in our daily lives, in our society and its institutions, and as the banking sector, we can't risk being left behind. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us. Are you ready for it? Be part of this year's fourth edition and first virtual annual Bankers Conference happening on 26th and 27th July 2021 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. under the theme Bend but Don't Break: How the Financial Sector Can Thrive in the Era of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Join key players, experts and stakeholders in the financial sector as they discuss relevant topics. To register now, visit www.ugandabankers.org/ABC 2021. This event is organized by the Uganda Bankers Association and Bank of Uganda and officially sponsored by MasterCard.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us on the #1 breakfast show in the country, Morning at NTV. Largely, my political analyst Emmanuel Chisembo is still here. Robin Anabanja, the Prime Minister, has been a subject of threats during this COVID-19 42-day lockdown. She says unscrupulous people are targeting her with messages threatening her to abandon her fight against corruption. Emmanuel is here to expand more on that. Emmanuel, let me bring me up to speed with what I'm looking at here. Nabanja being threatened.
Yeah, Nabanja.
Over corruption, you'd expect her to be threatened over the COVID-19 relief fund. People who are saying, I missed out, I didn't get the money, so I'm coming for you. But these are people who are talking about corruption. Largely, they should be attacking Betty Kamia. They should be attacking maybe the anti-corruption unit within the State House, but not the Prime Minister.
Yeah, actually, Nabanja, is one of its kind that we have gotten in Uganda, rising from all ladders to become a prime minister. Remember, Nabanja was a classroom teacher. She became a councillor, then later deputy RDC, then an RDC. Then she became an MP,
She's climbed the
a
ranks.
commissioner, then a state minister for general duties in the Ministry of Health. Then later, actually, she became the Prime Minister of Uganda.
Indeed, quite
So
a
when
journey.
you look at Nabanja, her track record,
Speaks
she has
for
no
itself.
corruption, scandals. She has gone out through the country.
So the corrupt are scared she might go for them.
Automatically, when you look at Nabanja, has come to fulfill the manifesto of NRM, and when you look at what happened in Kasese, you look at she cares much.
Those
At
being
the common person.
items are substandard,
Yes,
take them
items that are substandard, the mosquito nets. So she's trying really to work for the government and fulfill the manifesto of NRM, because President Museveni has been at the front saying that this time around I need to weed out these corrupt officials.
And of course, Robin Nabanja is the person to do that.
Yeah, so she's trying to do her best, but again, there are some mafias actually who are trying to threaten. But to me, I don't think they are threatening. They are not threatening her, but they are, if they are supposed to do it, they will do it.
A
We
lengthy
have seen it on
conversation, of
Kirumi.
course, that would warrant us to secure another interview with Emmanuel Chisembo to simply talk about Robin and Nabanja, because there's a lot that we could expand
Yeah, there
more.
is a lot.
We should actually just arrange another interview because we've largely run out of time. But thank you very much, Emmanuel Chisembo. You have a lot of information. Let's now go to Mr. Stephen Imbide. He is in downtown Kampala, ready to engage Mr. John Kabanda, the chairman of the Kampala Arcade Traders. Very good.